Jesse Owens was the man who stood up to racism and won. A track and field athlete, he excelled in almost every discipline during his college years, breaking world records and putting his name on the map in the athletics community. In his prime, Jesse Owens was unstoppable. At the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, he found his greatest achievements, winning gold medals in the 100-meter, 200-meter relay, and long jump. He also made a landmark sponsorship deal to save an iconic sports company from failure. But his triumphs were muddied by an establishment that refused to accept him. His face-off against Adolf Hitler remains a key moment in the fight for civil rights. However, contrary to popular belief, the Nazi dictator didn't actually snub him. According to Owens, it was his own country that disrespected him. After becoming a household name, his career was sabotaged and he was left bankrupt. This is the story of Jesse Owens.
Here we go. Here we go.
James Cleveland was born into a big family in Alabama. Before the age of 10, he and his family moved to Cleveland, Ohio, leaving the segregated South behind. Just 2 generations earlier, his grandfather had been a slave. His family called James JC as a nickname. Once he got to Cleveland, his southern accent made his name sound more like Jesse. From then on, the name stuck. He was Jesse Owens, not James. Jesse picked up whatever work he could find, eager to help out the family. When he wasn't working or at school, Jesse enjoyed running. His high school teacher saw potential in Jesse and was one of his main supporters, even opening up the school earlier to allow Jesse to train. This show of generosity paid off. At the 1933 National High School Championships in Chicago, he not only blitzed the rest of the field but equaled the 100-yard world record. At this time, Jesse hadn't even turned 20 yet, and running wasn't the only sport that Jesse had a talent for. His long jumping was already enough to put him competing against the best in the world. Jesse enrolled in Ohio State University. However, his greatest fight came off the track. Unlike many of his competitors, he wasn't offered a scholarship. Though his family had escaped the harsh segregation of the South, Ohio, like much of the country, was still deeply divided. Many food establishments refused to serve black people, and then there were blacks-only hotels where Jesse would stay when traveling with his college team. Jesse was still working hard to support himself as a waiter, gas station attendant, and elevator operator. In 1935, at the age of 22, Jesse made national news at the Big Ten Championships in Ann Arbor. He broke 3 world records and tied for 4th in the 100-yard dash, long jump, the 220-yard sprint, and the 220-yard hurdles. Incredibly, he broke all of these records in the space of just 45 minutes. With America conquered, Jesse was ready to go and represent his country to test himself on the world's biggest stage, the Olympics. However, this was not as simple as he had hoped. He was becoming a big name in the United States and attracting a lot of political interest. Civil rights organizations got in contact with him, urging Jesse not to participate. Apart from the struggle for equal rights in the United States, the Olympics were set to be held in Nazi Germany under the rule of Adolf Hitler, which was an ultra-nationalistic, racist, genocidal regime. Having experienced racism directly, Jesse Owens agreed to go. Civil rights leaders were worried that competing at the Olympics wouldn't send the right message. Ultimately, under public and political pressure, Jesse decided it was more important to represent his people.
Here we go. Here we go.
Held in Berlin, the 1936 Olympics served as a chance for Nazi Germany to advertise itself to the international community. Hitler had taken power in 1933 and built a huge stadium just for the occasion. The infrastructure, including the city's main airport, was all upgraded with state-of-the-art equipment. 1936 was the first Olympics to be broadcast via the new technology of television. No longer would fans have to wait to read reports in the newspapers. They would be able to watch along from around the world. As the event drew closer, global attention became focused on the clash between Jesse Owens and Nazi Germany. Upon arriving, though, Owens found that he was a huge draw for crowds, with young Germans excited to see the young talent in person. He even found that there wasn't the kind of segregation he was used to in the United States. His first event, the 100-meter dash, was won by some margin, which he followed up with another gold medal at the long jump, narrowly beating Louis Long, the German champion. Just as he had a year earlier, Owens won 4 events in total. The 100-meter dash and long jump were followed by the 200-meter dash and the 4x100-meter relay. To the surprise of many, the crowd was ecstatic. Over 70,000 people gave Owens a standing ovation for his performances. Media reports from international newspapers focused instead on how Hitler had snubbed Owens. He was apparently so furious that his Aryan German competitors had been defeated by a Negro and refused to acknowledge the American champion. However, later accounts contest that version of events, claiming that Hitler was instead following a protocol of not shaking hands with any non-German winners or skipping medal ceremonies entirely. Even Owens himself said that Hitler did later wave to him as he passed by the Führer's box after the event and even sent him a congratulatory cabinet photograph. Jesse Owens was on top of the world. He had cemented himself into Olympic history, brought pride to his nation, and made a significant dent in the reputation of a soon-to-be tyrannical European power. It was only once he returned to the United States that he was reminded of his true place in society.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Jesse Owens should have been a national hero. He was given a parade in his honor in New York. However, as the excitement died down and the parade finished up, Owens was thrown back into the realities of a segregationist America. At the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, he wasn't allowed to use the main entry door. His homecoming didn't get much better. Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was president at the time, never invited Owens to the White House, which is customary for great sports stars, especially as successful as Owens. Owens said, "Hitler didn't snub me, it was our president who snubbed me. The president didn't even send me a telegram." The 1936 Olympics was the high point of Jesse Owens' career and life. He was expelled from United States athletics after choosing to work in the U.S. rather than compete in Sweden with the rest of the Olympic team. Despite having 4 Olympic gold medals, Owens was once again reduced to odd jobs, working as a janitor and a cleaning company. On occasion, his name was used to sell novelty events, where Owens would race against vehicles or animals at the chance of winning money. He was effectively shut out of appearances in national media, commercials, or sports events. Owens had been embraced more in Europe. Before competing at the Olympics, he had been approached by a German footwear specialist, Adolf Dassler, who implored him to wear some Dassler-spiked shoes. Owens agreed in what became one of the best promotional campaigns in sports history for a company named after its founder, Adidas. 6 years after the Olympics, Owens found a job working at the Ford Motor Company, helping to facilitate relations between white and black workers. After nearly half a decade of experience there, he opened a public relations agency. Owens sporadically appeared in public over the following decades to promote certain films, talk about civil rights, and even to attend the 1960 Summer Olympics in Rome. However, his fortunes never improved. He declared bankruptcy and was found guilty of tax evasion. In his post-athletic life, he had become addicted to smoking, and at age 66 in 1980, he died of lung cancer. The achievements of Jesse Owens in the world of athletics are undeniable. While he was still in college, he made 4 world records, catapulting him to international fame. However, what should have been the beginning of a long career, winning 4 gold medals at the 1936 Olympics, was instead the beginning of the end.
Here we go. Here we go.
While some of the sensationalism about his encounter with Hitler doesn't hold up to scrutiny, Owens is still remembered in opposition to Nazi Germany. Though he's now considered an American national icon, Owens was shunned by his own country in a period of racism, an example of the contradictory policies of segregation. While he was seen as an asset for the Olympics, performing at the highest level, even his tributes were tainted. At his homecoming ceremony, he was treated differently from his white colleagues. Any future career was effectively killed after the 1936 Olympics. And without any advertising or commercial prospects, Owens fell back to the brink of poverty. Building up his own career without institutional help, he dedicated much of his later life to charity and public activism. Finally, in 1976, just 4 years before his death, Jesse Owens was awarded with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Clouded by race politics that surrounded the early 20th century, his athletic legacy is one thing that stands clear. He broke 4 world records within 45 minutes and brought 4 gold medals home for his country. Though recognized far too late, his legendary status is now unquestioned. Jesse Owens is an American hero.